Hey guys, I'm Brad Wilson with Wild Heart Wilderness, and today I'm out here once again on the game reserve. It's been a while since I've made a video, and that's because I've just been real busy with a lot of different things. Most of it just, busy schedule, busy life, just like most of us. But I've had some other things we'll discuss probably later on in another video. But some things I'm actually working on starting a small, I guess, just part-time business kind of thing that is related to this outdoor stuff. And we'll talk about that more later on. But anyway, that's really the reason why I haven't been able to get out and make as many videos as frequently. And as well, I've also ordered the Pathfinder Phase 1 certification course from Self-Reliance Outfitters, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, most of you probably are, but just for the sake of those who aren't familiar with that, it's basically a home study course that you can get from Self-Reliance Outfitters that basically teaches you the Pathfinder system, the fundamentals that they teach at that school on how to be more self-reliant, how to thrive and survive in the wilderness. To just put it in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. But it's like a home study course, a do-it-your-own pace kind of thing. And I haven't done a whole lot of it, but I'm trying to take my time with it, and so that's kind of taking me away from making videos as well. But anyway, I'm kind of out here trying to kill two birds with one stone, because one of the I've done a few exercises so far, but one of the first exercises of actually getting out into the woods is finding your personal space and sitting in that personal space for 1 hour, and just being still, paying attention to the wilderness around you, and just learning from that and logging that experience. And I've got my notebook and pen with me today. I'm going to try to write that down, different things that I experience and see and all that sort of thing. But I've also got a fire going here. You saw me earlier preparing that fire, and I've got a tin on there making some char cloth, because I'm also following up with our video on the knife that we were making, that we were forging out of a file. I got the basic profile, basic grind, everything on there with the grinder in the last video. I may come back and grind it a little bit higher just to give it a better look, more defined edge. I've sharpened this a little bit on the stones, but I mean, you're not going to get a file as sharp, as another type of steel, or some kind of steel that you'd actually use to make a professional knife. But we're going to try to get this as sharp as we can today. I've got a stone with me, and make a video on this. The reason I'm making char cloth is because hopefully we'll be able to strike sparks off of this today to show you that it will throw sparks, and you'll be able to start a fire with some type of charred material. And then the other thing I'm doing, obviously, is spending the time out here to just be quiet, be still, enjoy nature and all of that for the Pathfinder Phase 1. So I've got my journal and my pen here, watching the fire, waiting for the char cloth to do its thing. I'm going to sit here, enjoy a bowl full in my pipe. This is my, for those of you who are fellow pipe smokers interested in that sort of thing, I've got my Eric Nording freehand. This was one of my first pipes, kind of a upscale or more expensive pipe to have for your first pipe, but like anything else, you buy once, you cry once. Like I've said before, and Dave Canterbury has said it, that's where I got it from. But I really believe that in just about everything, So I mean, it's good to save the money and spend it on nice things every now and then. But I'm smoking that pipe, and then I've never tried this before, but smoking some Drew Estate meat pie. I know they make pretty good cigars, but they started making some pipe tobacco fairly recently, and so I'm trying that. This is supposed to be a traditional English style blend, so I'm looking forward to trying this. So I'm just going to sit back here. Obviously I'm not going to film you, have you guys watch me for a whole hour, so I'm just going to sit here and do my thing, relax for about an hour, and then I'll get back up with you guys. So stay with me. Alright guys, so what I've got here is a black Arkansas stone. Trying to think, let's see, it says it on here. I got it from sharpeningsupplies.com. I'm sure you could get it from any other website that sells sharpening stones and that sort of thing. I really don't know a lot about sharpening. I'm pretty new at it, I guess. So I don't know a whole lot about the different stones and everything. I can't tell you a whole lot about the Arkansas stone, but I've been using just like I think what you would call a carborundum stone that is a rough grit on the bottom and then a fine grit on top, or however, you know, well, on one side it's rough, on the other side it's fine, and that works okay. But it's very old. I bought it at an antique store, and so it just doesn't seem to really sharpen any of my knives very well, which I think partly, you know, that has a lot to do with the person trying, you know, the skill of the one sharpening the knife. You know, that probably has a lot to do with it. But I think I wanted to try and get another stone to see and experiment with different things like oil instead of water, just different things like that, to see if I could, you know, really get the art of sharpening a knife down to, you know, where I can do that with confidence. So with an Arkansas stone like this, you use oil, and you can use just about any oil. I just went ahead and bought some honing oil, which is I don't know what kind of oil, you know, or what it's extracted from or whatever, but I know that it is food safe. It says so. I've researched it and everything. So, you know, if you're planning on using this knife for preparing food and things like that, cutting up stuff, then it's okay, you know, to use that oil. But I've just got some of the honing oil here in this AK bottle, or whatever kind of bottle this is. I got it at a gun show. I think it was an oil bottle at one time, used, you know, for that sort of thing, for cleaning guns and stuff. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of this oil, just a little bit. That was way too much. It's okay if it gets in the wood. I really didn't need that much oil, but it's okay. I don't think there's such a thing as too much oil anyway when it comes to sharpening your knife. Go ahead and put this up before I knock it over and spill it everywhere. It's really not the best bottle because it's got a pretty wide mouth to it, but it's the only really small bottle I had that I could carry out here. But anyway, we're going to take this knife, and I've shown how to do this in another video before, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this a little bit. You want to find the right angle, and it depends on what kind of grind you have. I don't have any special grind on this. I just kind of did it by hand, just the way it looked. But I would say, if I had to, you know, say what it was close to, it would probably be a convex grind. It's almost rounded. If you just look at it, it's kind of rounded, almost kind of like the way your axe head would be. So I don't really know exactly what kind of grind to hold it at, but I think you can sort of feel it. You know, you can feel it bite. And that's the whole thing about this, is just experimenting with this. Just experimenting with all this, and over time, you know, as you figure things out, you'll get to a point where you can do it right. So, you know, I'm by no means an expert on this kind of stuff, but I'm just showing you the general idea of how to sharpen a knife. So I'm just going to hold this probably, if I had to guess, probably at a 20-degree angle, somewhere in that area. I'm going to go the full length of the blade and just come towards me like that, and then flip it over. Try to maintain that same angle and go the other way. And just repeat this for several times. You know, if you want to count 100 strokes for each side to start out with, that's pretty good right there, I would think. Just draw it towards you and go away. And this is the sort of thing that just takes time. You gotta be patient with this sort of thing. Not only patient in the sense of time, the time it takes to sharpen a knife, but also patient in yourself as far as, you know, you can sit here and do this for 2 or 3 hours or however long it takes you, if it's just an hour or whatever, and feel like you have put in a whole lot of effort, and then the thing won't really be that sharp. And it's because you haven't held it at the right angle, or maybe you pushed down too hard and was removing too much material and actually dulled your knife, because I believe that is possible for you to do. And so it's very frustrating if you put forth that much time and effort into something and then it doesn't come out right, or you make it worse. You know, that's very frustrating. So you just got to learn to be patient in all of that sense. In every sense of the word, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And really, this is something that you would want to do at your house. Not really something you want to do out in the field. I mean, you can. It's no problem at all. You know, a stone like this isn't a whole lot of hassle. It's not very big. It doesn't weigh very much. You know, like I said, we could put our oil in a small bottle like that to carry with us, keep with us. That way we can just have something to maintain our blade if we're, you know, spending, even if we're just out there for a week, we're not spending a whole lot of time, but we're doing a lot of activities. If we're on a hunting trip or something like that, we want to make sure our blades are good and sharp every day, whether it's processing game or cooking, you know, preparing food, cooking and that sort of thing. You want to make sure your knives are good and sharp. And so depending on how you're using your knives can dull pretty quickly. So it's good to have something with you that you can sharpen your knife with. And I know that Dave Canterbury, he likes to sharpen his knives, you know, at his home and stuff like that. And then when he's out in the field, he'll carry a diamond rod with him, which is just a little rod that's about 6-7 inches long, with a diamond, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a diamond rod is what it is. It's got small diamond pieces in it, I believe, that you know, are made kind of like a diamond file for a chainsaw or something. And it's just made to really to hone the blade, not to necessarily sharpen it, but to hone it. Right as it's about to get dull, but it's not completely dull yet. You know, you can use that, and it'll bring the edge, refine that edge on your blade, so that it's good and sharp. So I'm going to do this a couple more times, and then we'll see. We'll test it. It's getting there. It's a little sharp. Let me find a piece of wood. Just a chunk of wood here from where I was splitting wood a minute ago. Let's see. how it cuts into this. It cuts the wood, but it doesn't necessarily bite into it very well. Let me get another stick here. All of this is dead wood around me, so it's probably not the best thing to really use, but it's getting the job done, you know, but it's definitely, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess crude is the word. It's very down and dirty. It doesn't feel like, you know, you would really want it to, but it's doing the job. It's biting into the wood good enough to cut at a notch, or to you know, cut this down to a point. But I do think that grind is you know, your initial grind has a lot to do with it too. I think I actually need to come back with this at some point and grind it up a little bit higher here and make it a little bit thinner, because I think right now it's too thick and too round on the edge, which would make it good if this was an axe blade, you know, good for chopping and splitting and stuff, but for fine slicing and you know, for skinning and things like that, which is what I want this knife to be, just a small skinning knife, but something that, you know, if I had to use it for you know, small cuts and things like that in wood, you know, I could also use it for that. But this is mainly going to be a knife that I'm going to use for you know, gutting and cleaning, processing small animals and that sort of thing, which I think at this point it would probably do fine. But it's just going to take a lot of time, a lot of work in sharpening this knife, but that's okay. That's how we learn, you know, by making mistakes, and by not just making mistakes, but just putting in our time into something. Even if you're not really doing it wrong, you can always learn how to do it better. And so you know, like I said, I'm sort of new to knife sharpening and that sort of thing. But my hopes is to get better at it over time, because it's a very self-reliant skill if you know how to sharpen your knife. You know, we made this knife, you know, from a file. We know how to forge and make a knife. It would be a shame to be able to do that but not know how to sharpen a knife and have to rely on other people. You know, that's just not who we are as self-reliant people, as bushcrafters and woodsmen and stuff like that. We want that pioneering mentality. We want to be able to sharpen our own blades. It's a very important skill to know how to do, because, you know, not just for knives, but for other tools and things like that. You know, it's important to know how to maintain those blades and know how to sharpen them, keep them good and sharp. So this is by no means good and sharp, so I'm not going to try to really do a whole lot of testing. I'm just kind of doing this to kind of go over the basic idea of how to sharpen a knife. I wish that I could sharpen this real good, get it good and sharp, and then go here and like do some, you know, crazy stuff, making notches and you know, just making some really nice fine cuts, but I don't think I'm going to really be able to do that with this knife just yet. But anyway, I know that this knife will throw sparks, so now that I've got the tin sitting over there, it's been off the fire for a while, should be good and cool. Now we'll see if this will throw some sparks for us and be able to serve as a fire striker as well. Okay. So I believe our t-shirt there has charred pretty well. I'm going to take some of this And as you can tell, I don't know if you remember, but this was pretty full, and it shrunk up a lot. So if you're making char cloth and you're using a t-shirt, just pack it really full, just overpack it to the point where you feel like it's just way too full, because it's going to shrink up considerably after it's charred. So if you get it really full, just pack it as much as you can. When that shrinks up, that way you'll have a nice full char tin full of that stuff. So I'm going to take some of this char cloth, and then this rock. I actually have several pieces of quartz, things like that at home that throw sparks remarkably well off of this, the back of this knife. But I failed to bring them, and I thought, well, I'll just search around here and see if I can't find a rock that will throw sparks. And this rock here, it may have a little quartz in it, I can't really tell, but it throws sparks just a little bit, but not near as well as those others. But I think hopefully we'll be able to hopefully catch this on the char cloth. I'm really hoping that it will work. But this is just another good way of testing my skills, testing myself. With I guess you could say that's a marginal rock to be using, because it's not throwing the best sparks at all. In fact, I haven't seen any sparks here lately, but it was throwing sparks a minute ago. With a rock like this that's not quite as hard, you got to find the right edge. There was a spark just there, so hopefully we can start this, ignite this char cloth. So let's see. The wind is not on our side today, so that'll make it easy, really well. So let's try to go on the top. There we go. Alright, come in so you can see it. Alright, so we just barely got a little spark on there. Good enough for it to burn, ouch, and start a fire. So we'll put that back in there, starve it of oxygen, and we didn't waste that just playing around, blowing on it and letting it burn up. I can actually use that later on. So that will show you, even with this rock here that doesn't throw the greatest sparks, all it takes is one small little spark, to fall on charred material like that, and it's gonna catch a little spark like that, and you can take something like that and really use it and blow it into flame, and it's going to give you fire. You don't need something that's going to just give you a shower of sparks. I mean, obviously you want that in a fire steel. You want to be able to find a rock that's going to produce great sparks, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. If you find a rock that's barely throwing sparks, but it's throwing them, and it's starting to get dark, you don't want to be searching around trying to find the perfect rock that's going to throw, amazing sparks, because then before you know it, it's dark. It's too dark to see very well. Then you're just in trouble. So, the best thing to do really is to plan out your trips, things like that. Search for rocks along the way, and just carry a fire steel with you. Go around and test it on rocks, and just collect them whenever you can. That way you've already got them. But I'm just giving out a kind of survival scenario, I guess. But I don't know if you'll even be able to see this, but it's really not even throwing hardly any sparks. There was one just there just now, and it's chipping this rock. This is probably partly quartz and mostly, I don't know, if I had to guess, just like sandstone or something. I don't know, something that's just you know, really not the greatest, but you gotta find the right edge. See, it's really not throwing many sparks at all, but like we just saw, we know that we can start a fire with, you know, a marginal rock like that, I guess. That's not gonna throw the greatest sparks. But I'll have to show you guys later on, maybe in another video, with some quartz, pieces of quartz I have at home with a really good edge on it. It throws really good sparks. So this is kind of like a little idea of a knife that you can make for yourself. You know, doesn't take much to forge and make a knife like this. You know, files are pretty cheap, inexpensive. And this one, it's pretty small, so I mean, you know, just something for a good skinning type knife is all that you need, but something that you can also use as a striker if you need it for that reason. So anyway, I thank you guys for watching, for joining me once again for this video. Hope that you enjoyed it. Hope that you learned something, that sort of thing. So thank you guys, as always, for your views, your support, all your comments, things like that. As always, I'm Brad Wilson, and until the next one, get out in the woods and be wild. Thanks, guys.